Command and conquer for a new generation. Now, before we close the show with a spectacular epic anthem, I wanted to share a few final things. I am blessed to be able to work with some of the most creative people on the planet who come to work every day to create amazing entertainment. And what I can say about all of those teams and what I can say about us is that we are always trying to learn and listen and strive to be better. And so as you look at the 10 experiences that you're going to see today, and as you play games this week, there's some things we hope come through. First, that at the very core is choice, is that you as players get to choose how you play, what you play, when you play, and what devices you play on. That in making those choices, you feel you are treated fairly, that no one is given an unfair advantage or disadvantage for how they choose to play. That for every moment that you invest, we know that you put so much of your life into the games we make, and that for every moment that you invest, you feel like you are rewarded and you are given value for that investment. And most importantly, that the games are fun, that we move past the grind, and that these are experiences that truly enhance your lives. And so, as we think through all the things that we're trying to do, know that we want to be better, and that we want to make great games. And that as much as we love making games, and as much as you love playing them, there's something that is even greater that we can do together. The power of this community when we come together to do amazing things is profound. Last weekend was the 3rd year of our Play to Give program, where we show the world how the power of play can be a positive force for social impact. Millions of you out there participated in 9 in-game challenges in our games, logging millions of hours in support of Play to Give. And to celebrate that, we contributed a total of $1 million to 3 charities that share our vision for a more inclusive world. A world where representation and equality are not something we strive for, they are the standards. And where bullying and exclusion are not an everyday threat. These 3 organizations, the United Nations He4She, PACE's National Bullying Prevention Center, and Ditch the Label, an anti-bullying organization, all are doing great work, and we're proud to support them through Play to Give. And thank you for your support. Thousands of us at EA and millions of you together doing immeasurable good because we love games. Thanks for being with us. And thanks for the incredible privilege of making games for all of you. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at Anthem.
The gods vanished and left our world in chaos, creating, altering, destroying. The anthem is all that remains.
There's a storm coming. These walls can't protect us forever.
Destroy us all.
guys, I've seen it a couple times, and it's still cool every time I see it. So I know all of you, like me, have had tons of questions about Anthem since last year because we're all BioWare fans. So we're going to do something a little bit different for the rest of the show, and we're going to take a deep dive into Anthem. So I'm going to bring out some members of the BioWare team to chat with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Casey Hudson, Mark Dara, and Kathleen Roussard. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for coming out today. Just got a little game to show, right?
Yep.
It's going to be very exciting. So Casey, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in and get started with you. So now we know that you all started, or Casey, you started your career at BioWare way back in the day, but you took a couple years off. But before you came back, you actually worked on Anthem before you left.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, first of all, it's amazing to be back. It's awesome to be making games for BioWare fans. You know, we have the best fans. So it's been super satisfying to come back to it. And, you know, I just want to be able to continue the legacy of the studio. And that's kind of where it started with Anthem, is just thinking about, you know, what is the evolution of a BioWare game? And we wanted to create a brand new world for people to discover, you know, a whole new world of story and character. But we also wanted to do something that was, you know, more of a dynamic and living world, a game that would change every time you came back and played it. We also wanted to do something where, you know, if you wanted to invite your friends into it, then you could do that as well. So that was really the initial vision of the game, not an MMO, not a multiplayer game with story sort of bolted on this side, but something new and different, and I think the team has really captured that vision over the years.
Your fans really love the stories from BioWare, but I think we're kind of curious how you're planning to make story work in this shared world.
So a great story for BioWare is really about characters that you can have a connection with, choices you get to make, and feeling like the story's about you. In a lot of multiplayer games, those things get diluted because you're mixing multiplayer and storytelling into the same areas. Now you can build a solution to that, but you have to really build it into the core of the game. And that's what we've tried to do with Anthem. It's what we call our world, my story. So when you're out in the open world, the world is really dangerous and you're focused on your mission. And this is where other players get to play with you. The thing that's really interesting about this, it's unique for Anthem, is that this is a living shared world. So whether there's weather or it's nighttime, what we're experiencing together. Everyone that's playing Anthem at a moment is seeing the same thing. And this is what we mean when we talk about our world. It's a shared world that we all experience together. But then when I finish, I come back to a base like Fort Tarsus. And this is a single player experience. I turn in my rewards, I talk to some characters, I experience the choices of my action. And this is where your story really lives and breathes. And by doing it this way, we're able to combine that impact and agency of a single player story with the fun of teaming up with your friends to play co-op in combat.
And we're also designing it so that we can add story for years to come. So one of the first things that we hear from our community is they want to continue to play in our worlds. When they've finished Mass Effect or Dragon Age, players want more story. And so we've designed Anthem in a way that we can actually add more story for years to come. And it could be anything. A new moment with a character that you've grown to love, or an event in the world that deepens the lore, or an entirely new storyline and plot.
Well, I'm certainly not going to complain about more story. I don't think anybody out there is going to either. So Kathleen, I wanted to ask you, from a writing perspective, since you are the lead writer, can you speak to what it's like to create a new world like Anthem from the beginning?
Well, what's really exciting for us, and not just the writers, but all of the devs, the designers, the artists, is that we're creating something new and mysterious for players to discover. So at the heart of the premise of Anthem is a world left unfinished by the gods. But the gods left behind their massive tools, and those tools are in constant conflict with this unknowable force called the Anthem of Creation. And the chaos of those things pushing against each other means that the world is constantly being reshaped in new and unpredictable ways.
Yeah, violent storms, mutated creatures, gigantic monsters. It's a dangerous environment that you need to wear a suit of powered armor, a javelin, to be safe in.
Now, something I think a lot of players out there maybe don't stop to think about is just how much work goes into creating a new intellectual property or IP, as we've been saying. Now, we've seen all these different creatures, and Mark, you mentioned the storms. What's the process of creating a game like from scratch?
Yeah, it's something we've done a few times at BioWare. And then really the hardest part is getting started, just kind of getting off the blank page. So what we try to do is we think about the new experiences that we're trying to unlock for players. So like, what is the fantasy fulfillment? What are the new things you actually get to go and do that are different from what you've played before? So that's where we start. And then once we think about those things, that's the power of creating new IP, especially for games, is that you actually get to build a whole fictional universe that's meant to bring out a certain experience. And then once we do that, then we still need to build all the rest of the stuff, and what unlocks us creatively is to think about like principles around art style, tone, and even the technology and the politics of our new world. And then from there, we can actually go and build out every last detail.
Yeah, and one of the unique challenges for Anthem is that it's a world, an experience that's meant to feel alive, like it's happening right now. And so the world is always changing, whether the storms, seasons, and yeah, it's a really great concept to write for, because what it means is it gives us the opportunity to drop into the world, almost in real time, a dramatic event that changes the world for everyone. And that could be anything from gameplay to lore.
I mean, all of the moving parts in the dynamic world sound really cool, the way that they sound like they're going to come together. But even though there's obviously a lot going on, it really all comes back to your character. So let's talk about who we're going to be playing as and why we're fighting these crazy beasts.
So you are a freelancer, uniquely skilled to pilot these Javelin exosuits. And you need those suits to survive and fight in this world, because the world will kill you. But on top of that, our ancient rivals, the Dominion, they've discovered a way, they think, to weaponize the Anthem of creation. And so we need to stop them and protect the free people of Tarsus.
Now, I've heard you call this power armor a couple different things. Is it a suit? Is it a javelin? Like, what's the canon term here?
We call them javelins, and there are 4, and they each have unique abilities. There's the Ranger, and then there's the Colossus, the Interceptor, and finally, the Storm.
Yeah, so each javelin gives you a different way to play the game. But the thing to remember is, like Kathleen said, you're not your suit. You are a freelancer, a pilot, which means you can decide which suit you want to use based on your mood, based on the mission you want to engage in, or the javelins that your friends are using. So really what this allows us to do is we've built the suits to look like they're built from the materials of the world. So they each have their own unique abilities. So let's take a look at the Ranger now. The Ranger is a more generalized suit, able to do a lot of different things, really designed for up-close and personal combat, one-on-one for the most part. The Colossus is heavier, more specialized, but able to really pack in big weapons that let them devastate the battlefield.
I'm just going to say the Storm looks like it's going to be my favorite. I'm sure you guys out there are picking your faves right now, too. So the javelins look awesome, but we're going to take a couple questions right now. So Casey tweeted, some of you may have seen, asking for people out there to send us your questions. And the first one is going to be from @It'sSweetNicole, who asks, as a player who is all about making their character their own, what kind of customization options will be available in Anthem?
Yeah, so we really want players to express themselves, both through customizing the way their javelin plays, through gear and weapons, but also being able to personalize the way that it looks, both through paint jobs as well as changing the actual geometry of the suit itself. We want teams to be able to do this as well, and because you're going to be using a javelin for a long period of time, we really want you to be able to make it your own.
I'm glad you brought that up, because actually, Jay Legato has a question connected to customization. Monetization. How, when, loot box, cosmetics?
Yeah, so we are going to have some cosmetics and vanity items that you'll be able to purchase, but you're always going to know what you're going to buy before you spend any money on it. So no loot boxes, no ability to pay for power.
Yay.
So that means no ability to spend money on gameplay advantage at all within Anthem. But even more important than that, we want to make sure that Anthem is an immersive experience that feels like it's complete from the get-go. So that means a main story, a big open world, and an ongoing service that provides new content for a long period of time. New story, new experiences for everyone.
Well, I'm glad to hear that I can make my javelin pink. That's really all I wanted to know, I'm going to be honest. All right, Casey, we talked earlier about this being a co-op experience. So can you tell me a little bit about how the team gameplay in Anthem is going to work?
Yeah, it really is about, you know, the fun of teaming up as a team of superheroes and working together. So you want to get a few people together of different classes. So, you know, I think here we're going to see the Colossus, you know, just hammering people on the ground in gameplay, if we can have a look at that. So heavy artillery, being really strong, you know, in melee combat. And then here you've got the Ranger shooting down from above. And then they're using combos and special abilities and stuff like that. But what I love is you don't just run around, you're swimming and flying as well.
So it's interesting because at the Slate Tones wants to know, how will you balance multiplayer with single-player storytelling?
So Anthem's really built around trying to combine the impact of having your own personal story with the fun of playing with other players. But we really want to make sure that, that playing with other people feels like a choice. So for people that want to just experience the story, you're going to be able to do that. Now, going out into an open world like this by yourself is going to be a little bit more challenging than if the team of 4 people. And we've really tried to balance the co-op experience to be fun even for people that don't normally engage in this kind of thing. So I really hope that everyone at least gives co-op a try.
Okay, that's good to know. If you want to roll solo, you can, but it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. Well, I know you all are on the edges of your seats. How about we show a little gameplay? Yeah? You guys want that? All right, so Kathleen, I think you're going to set this up for us?
I will. So, you and your friends have decided to play a mission called Scars and Villainy. The Scars have put together an acid-based super weapon, so you got to take them out. So you start in the Strider, which is like a giant walker, and it's your forward base of operations. You have a conversation with your crew, Halleck, Faye, and Owen, and you'll hear Owen. He's going to talk us through the mission as we experience it here. And yeah, then you just get into your javelin suit and you head out with your friends.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, Casey, Kathleen, for talking to me about Anthem today. We're going to go ahead and roll the gameplay now. Enjoy, everybody.
Time to get to work!
Faye said these bastards made some kind of acid. They're using it as a weapon.
So, find where they're making this garbage and shut it all down.
Owen, what's the plan here?
Picking up loads of scars nearby. Take a look around the area, but be careful.
Right. Checking out the Scar Camp some more.
Look at all the weapons! Oh, and the turrets! Better move quickly. There's a Shaper relic. Wait, something's odd. Get a closer look, would you? See those radiant pieces of energy? They're echoes from the Anthem of Creation. Loads of scars nearby. Be careful. Return them to the relic. You've got to silence it fast. It's gone silent. Disaster averted. Do you think we get a bonus for... Wait, something's happening.
What the hell was that?
I think that was whatever laid all the eggs around here. The sound came from below your position. On the plus side, this definitely counts toward hazard pay. There's a trail of this acid gunk leading down. Follow it, and we should find the source.
Yep, and that was actually just a short version of the full demo that we brought here to LA. So if you want to come by the Anthem Theater here at EA Play, you can check out the game live.
So I'm sure the question on everyone's minds, when do we get to play?
So Anthem comes out February 22nd, 2019 on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.
So mark your calendars, everybody. Fire off your tweets. Thank you so much again to Casey and the entire BioWare team. I know you guys have that awesome theater outside, so I will see you guys there.
All right.
Give it up for Casey Hudson, everybody. I also want to give a big thank you to all of the developers who showcased their games today and everybody working hard at their studios back home around the world. Let's give them all a round of applause. Now, some of what you saw today, you guys have to wait to play. But you guys, EA has so much available right now. Now, for those of you keeping score, you can get your free trial of FIFA 18's World Cup today. And Andrew told us about the free trial of Origin Access. Yarny is back with a buddy in Unravel 2, which is also available today. Plus, you can take on your friends in Command & Conquer Rivals starting today as well. Now, that's a lot of available stuff that's out today. Is anybody ready to go home and download anything? No? You're like, I just want to go outside into the fan fest. I get it, I get it. So, I want to let you guys know to keep your streams going because in just a few moments, the FIFA 18 World Cup live tournament is going to begin. I'm going to head outside and check out the games, but I want to thank everybody for coming down to EA Play today and watching the press conference, and have a great weekend.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2018. We just watched the EA press conference. A lot to take in, kind of not a lot to take in. Anthem looks pretty sick. I'm Mike Mahardy here with Lucy James.
Hello.
Rob Hanlery.
Hello.
And Timur Hussein.
Out here chasing money.
We're going to be ignoring the that FIFA stream that they're doing right now. If you feel like you really want to watch FIFA, don't leave our stream. Stay here. We have seen more from EA. We got a release date for Anthem, February 22nd of next year.
Finally.
Good.
What, like, how many? 8 months? I can't think right now.
I can't maths right now.
Yeah, but that game looks awesome.
Yeah.
Should we start from the top? Yeah,
Oh, wait,
let's start with Anthem.
Wait, let's
Okay.
start with the shout out to if you want to
Yeah.
get some questions in, I will be manning the Twitter feed. Please tweet us using the hashtag GameSpotE3 and we'll read out your questions, comments, concerns about what you've just seen, all of your cries for where the hell was Skate 4.
Yeah, or Dead Space.
Or Dead Space. Or
All
Mass
right,
Effect or
Anthem. They showed a little more of all 4 rigs, the classes that we'll be playing as. Casey Hudson was there. Mark Dara was there.
whatever. Kathleen was there.
The writer of Mass Effect Andromeda and
And now
Anthem. This game looks cool. People were
Yeah.
seemed a little bit annoyed that it was mostly a Q&A, but they showed some gameplay. They showed a lot toward the end. They showed the Colossus was the one they showed a lot. That rig's kind of like the
bigger
tank,
one.
yeah, like heavy weapons class.
The big lads. Oh, when he
Yeah.
brought out that the grenade launcher thing, we all kind of went,
Yeah.
whoa!
Like cluster fire missiles and
Yeah.
stuff.
They
Yeah,
talked
he
a
looked
lot
dope.
about how it'll be a world that you could play solo or co-op. Although Mark Dara said he hopes you play co-op, but those are kind of just buzzwords for all kinds of games like this, I would imagine.
Reassuringly, they mentioned story a few times,
Yeah.
which was good. Kathleen was on stage. She is obviously the writer. They kind of laid the foundations of what's going on. The gods have left, and creation's a bit weird.
Yeah.
They
What-
didn't quite clarify what
Yeah.
the anthem
What
is.
is
It's like
Anthem?
it's either a
It started
force,
as
like
like the
traveler.
home base. It felt like.
I thought
Yeah,
that, but
they
then
said
it,
like the Anthem was the only safe place.
then it sounded like it was
left.
the force,
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
like
the
magic
anthem
energy.
of creation.
Yeah,
Which was like an event, right, or something. I don't know.
I felt like it's the Traveler's Light.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something nebulous and incomprehensible that will kind of string the story along.
right.
But I'm interested in seeing how they build out quests and that kind of stuff. The stuff that we saw
Yeah.
during the gameplay demo at the end was very much kind of standard fare for a
Yeah.
demo, which is like, oh, we're gonna go over here
So
and do this thing over
explosions.
there, and the kind of the flavor text that was supporting that was very generic. I want
like a standard strike, right?
Very standard
Yeah.
strike stuff. So.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the stuff that we really want is the stuff that we know BioWare for, the world building and that kind of stuff. And they didn't quite show how they're going to approach that.
But they did say in a very cool way, Kathleen was saying that they were building the game so that they could add new story content for years to come. Hopefully in a very
Right.
seamless way rather than like, oh, it's a new DLC, so it's going to be a new area that you can only
that all
really
just sounds
visit.
like buzzwords for like
Yeah.
updates.
And she was...
Yeah,
she,
but I
mean,
hope
she-
it's done.
She mentioned, like, quite granular changes, like the way you interact with a character could change. So that made me think, oh, it's just like they want to have the ability to change the world in small and big ways in a way that, you keep coming back to Destiny and everyone says the same thing over and over again. And eventually you know exactly what you need to do. You can almost tune out. So I think it seemed like they were implying that, oh, you want to pay attention every time you're here because this character that you might always speak to could change very slightly or give you a little more flavor text. Again, like Mike said, that could just be all buzzwords and like saying, things that who knows how they'll be implemented. But
I believe it when I see it, but I am optimistic.
Yeah.
Just the gameplay alone, this flying, like I saw people on Twitter saying, some of the devs saying that there's like a team dedicated to the flying in the game. They showed, I think they were running with 2 Colossi, it looked like, in this gameplay. I don't think I saw an Interceptor in this demo.
There was at one point, and
Then
to
they had
touch
a
on that, they kind of showed off a lot of like air mobility, barrel rolls, air combat.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
2
the
Colossi.
way that they were like zipping from side to side.
Yeah, that
in
looked
the midair
fun.
was really cool.
yeah.
I guess you could imagine the Interceptor being the more mobile, right?
Like a rogue.
Yeah.
if you
So,
will.
yeah. I dug that. I didn't expect to see like air combat as much because before it was just a traversal, or in last E3 they just showed it off as like getting from A to B, but that was pretty cool. Yeah, they look so rickety in a way, like just barely in
Yeah.
flight. It's nice.
So a few people on the tweets are asking, Knack_Jonathan is asking, do you think they will add a PvP aspect to Anthem?
I feel like
I feel like, yeah.
they're going to,
Yeah,
despite the
I
fact
mean,
it's BioWare.
If
down the road.
I mean, like if they manage to fit it into Mass Effect, they fit it into Dragon
Yeah.
Age, a game
Since
like
Mass
this.
Effect 3 they've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. So that was PvE though, Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
But I
never
feel
mind.
like that's just a logical step forward for them. Like,
Yeah,
if-
especially when you're building out customization to be as big part of the game as it is, you want some way to kind of show that off beyond just a small group of people and you know kind of pit your rig against someone else, the javelins. Yeah,
Customization looked great.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
may have missed it. I saw they went through a whole bunch of like skins and stuff, but there's totally like an all black N7
armor.
Mass Effect armor. Yeah,
That's a good segue. Monetization. They said it's all going to be. There's going to be no random crates. You're going to know what you're buying. There's going
Yeah.
to be cosmetics you can buy, but outside of that, they said it's not going to be pay to
Yeah.
win. And that seems like a focus of the whole conference.
I mean, that
From Battlefront 2 to
yeah.
Battlefield, they
This,
said they've been listening.
like, with some time away from Battlefront could have been the best thing to happen for microtransactions in a long time. Like,
Yeah.
the absolute like
It was the evil we
failure
all
of
needed.
that. Yeah, just everyone's just backing away so fast now.
Which sounds good. I mean, seems like I would imagine BioWare wouldn't implement that stuff, but being under EA, who knows? But it sounds like they're being very cognizant across the developers under EA that is bad press and they don't want to do that.
Yeah, and they especially don't want to take that gamble with a game like Anthem, given that they committed so much to it already. And if it's supposed to be like Destiny, it could be like the cornerstone, kind of like the pillar of their business going forward. They want this game to be the game that people stick with for many, many
Years to
years.
come, yeah.
So if they don't like, they need to have zero friction for people to get into it.
But if you
And-
think about how like long it's been in development as well. So if Casey was working on it, then he left for like 2 years to go to Microsoft, and then he came back like this time last year. That's at least 4 or 5 years in development, right?
Like, and they cannot take a risk with it and change. Like, they need to be so careful with perception of the game and the discussion around the game, which means that stuff like microtransactions they don't want to dwell on.
Yeah, I mean, Anthem, I think, was the standout for the show. Mainly, they showed gameplay. They focused a lot on it. It was like one of the bigger tier AAA games. Let's talk about Battlefield. Unless there are any other questions on Twitter about Anthem that we missed.
I mean, there's a lot of people asking why we didn't see anything from Dragon Age, but I think it's one of those cases where if BioWare are going to go hard on Anthem, they're not going to split their audience, you would say, and do Dragon Age as well. There have been like tweets and stuff about people working on Dragon Age.
Yeah.
I'm certain it's going to happen, but this year is Anthem's year.
They have committed to Dragon Age. They said it's not done yet. So it's just a matter of Anthem is the flavor of the month for them.
So as of now, February 22nd of 2019, you'll be able to play Anthem. Maybe a few days early if there's EA Play stuff.
Yeah,
involved.
there is EA
there
access
is.
stuff for it.
Yeah.
What is that? Usually like 5 days ahead of time.
Sometimes like a week. Yeah.
Gotcha.
10
Okay.
days sometimes.
Well, I'm excited. I said before that's one of the games I was rooting for. People seem to know there was a Q&A, but they showed gameplay right after. There's also people I respect, Casey Hudson and Kathleen. But anyway, Battlefield 5, probably the next biggest they showed. They
There's
showed
the
a little
lead,
bit of...
Yeah.
It was pretty... So they announced, first off, Battlefield 5 will have Battle Royale mode.
Just
They said
Royale. Does it come
just
with
Battlefield
cheese?
Royale.
Take the battle out.
It's
They already
just-
have
it's just
battle.
Royale.
Battlefield
They said
Royale.
Royale.
Just Royale.
But like if you're saying let's play something, you'll be like it'll Battlefield Royale. Like they're not calling it Battlefield Royale; it's a Royale mode. But to distinguish it from Fortnite and other stuff, I'd say Battlefield
Royale with battle.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
With
That's
cheese.
it.
With cheese.
Or cheese.
They announced that, but then they showed gameplay, which at first a few people were like, "Oh, this looks like the Royale mode." God damn it, I hate that already.
It's so hard to just point and say this is gameplay because this is
Well, no, they said
It's
they
back
said
and forth.
before this that
It's captured in engine.
yeah, but then
Sure.
they also
They had
they said like
snippets.
we're gonna show new. I don't know. Like I thought it was the war stories at first, but I believe this is actually like the grand operations mode we heard
Correct.
after.
That's right.
Which is the more objective based kind of progressive multiplayer mode on a
there's
big scale.
So yeah, there's the building there. This
In
is
Norway.
a sweet mechanic there with the attaching of like flak cannons to vehicles. That's
Ripping
gonna,
through that window.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, they
That
showed
guy's
off a lot
dead.
of the things that the first trailer showed off. Again, stuff like the new movement abilities.
Yeah, a lot of the granular new movement abilities. Like I just saw a guy like sliding and shooting at the same
Yeah.
time, like going back prone, but
A
backwards.
lot of air combat too.
Yeah.
No runways yet though, Rob.
No runways.
Not
No
confirmed.
runways.
It's not gonna happen.
This
That-
guy gets shredded by the engine.
Yeah.
done. Yeah, and even more with animations, they showed off like the aesthetics too that we heard about from Aaron when he did the behind closed doors. like the raised knees in like shallow
Oh,
water
yeah.
and like stumbling in snow and stuff. Like that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, so Aaron was saying if you look at someone running into a wall at like full speed, like running to cover, they'll slam into the wall, or like you just mentioned, the high knees, or presumably, you know, like in deep mud maybe. But from your point of view, you won't notice as much, but other people see it, which seems like it's a weird thing to balance, but it makes it look much better, especially like obviously the Frostbite engine is unreal looking already. And that was all the gameplay they showed today was in Norway.
Yeah.
Like when British commandos
It
were
seems like
established.
a very feature-rich game from what we've seen so
Yeah.
far. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like very different modes that are coming. I mean, the Royale thing is, they said they talk more about it later this year, which could. I mean, the game, it's unclear whether the game's going to launch with it or whether it's going to be like, hey, the game's out now. Now we're going to start talking about the Royale mode.
Yeah.
But at the very least, they have committed to it, which is something that wasn't confirmed before this.
Well, they said they've got rid of the premium pass, so
Yeah.
you would assume that it would come. You wouldn't have to pay extra.
Yeah,
for
it
it.
would
Oh,
be a
definitely
free
not.
update, yeah.
So they've got the Royale, they've got Grand Operations, they've got
Conquest.
War Stories, Conquest. They probably have like an air focused mode. Then they have Battlefront 2 did.
Sometimes they can
Combined
roll-
Arms, the
they'll
co-op
roll. They can roll some of that stuff out later, like
Yeah.
they did with Battlefield
Yeah.
1, like the air assault, whatever it was called in that. That was I think one of the last DLCs for that game, but
Right.
yeah, it looked really great. Like there was some cool stuff as
That
far as
jacket.
the jacket.
That
Death
hot
Dealer.
jacket.
That
That guy was
jacket.
wearing an absolutely incredible jacket. Sell that, EA. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I will as well.
There's one really cool moment with just the Frostbite looks so good, like where they
Yeah.
run into the building and like snow
Yeah.
slides off
Yeah.
of the house.
Man,
Frozen melted
EA
snow.
really making use of that Frostbite engine.
Yeah.
Like they
Dude,
are
I
getting
mean-
their money's worth out of it.
It's an expensive engine
Yeah.
to make.
I mean,
so
like,
just
Anthem-
roll it out.
Anthem showed it like on a scale that we've not seen before, and like Battlefield is showing it off. The destruction seems to look better than ever. Yeah, it's exciting.
And you can
It's really
build.
cool. You can build
You can
too.
tear down a wall and put some sandbags up.
Yeah. And then you can actually like the squads, because they're bringing squads to Battlefront 2 as well. But in Battlefield 5, apparently squads can heal the other members of their squads, and then medics specifically can heal and
Quicker.
and improve their health.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Right. The idea is there's even some kind of mechanic. We didn't obviously see it, but like anyone can heal. It just takes longer for anyone who's not a medic, right?
Yeah.
So you,
Right,
if,
right.
if you were down, knowing that I am not a medic, it's gonna take a long time.
Stick her with some morphine.
Help me, Rob.
Apparently, you can drag people who are down like to
Yeah.
cover and like revive them
Morphine
and
is
stuff.
good.
It's good.
Get back out there, soldier.
If we have, do we have any Battlefield 5 questions that popped up? Because otherwise we can go to.
No, but Time Lady Katie is actually going to call the Royal mode Battlefield with cheese. So
good.
we've done our job today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about? I mean, the big surprise was Sea of Solitude, man.
Sea of Solitude, yeah.
That
from
game looks cool.
Joe May, the studio.
Joe May
Joe
Studio.
May, yeah.
And
Cornelia
Cornelia
was on stage
from Germany.
talking about it.
Which is, so this was, they did the Unravel 2 reveal. We talked a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's available now
in co-op.
in
we
co
can
op.
get to that.
It looked adorable. But honestly, I got really excited about Sea of Solitude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just a great idea. Looks beautiful, looks very melancholy.
I'm still unclear on what you do.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of like
It looks great.
different styles of like traditional how we think about gameplay frameworks and that kind of stuff. Like it looks like a bunch of different game genres that mashed into one. Like there's puzzle solving
Little
from looks
action
like
adventure
yeah.
kind.
Like there's some atmospheric stuff. Reminded me of Inside that moment, and it reminded me
Yeah.
of Rhyme in a
Tone
lot of ways.
in general looks like
yeah,
Inside.
it looks really, really cool. But like the fact that she spent, firstly, she absolutely nailed that speech. That was
Yeah, that
great.
was
like
awesome. That was
sold that
great.
speech
Yeah, she's very
amazingly.
earnest.
But in talking about loneliness, and you could tell it was very personal to her. Not in a way that it was like, this is a game that I'm working on the same way that like the guys from Unravel did last year and this
Command
year.
and Conquer.
Yeah,
Don't-
it was
don't,
more
man.
about this whole thing came about when it was a deeply personal moment for me. You know, it's born from my loneliness,
Yeah.
and it explores that. So the fact that we can't really get a grip on it is really interesting because it's a personal thing. Like that journey it's the manifestation of her journey, and for us to kind of, if we were immediately be able to say like, oh, it's this kind of game, that kind
Right.
of game, it would be a bit like, it'd water that down somewhat. So the fact that I can't get a good grasp of what the game is kind of exciting to me because it means it will be a more authentic representation of how she felt and what the emotions behind it. But I'm
There are no
excited to see more
FPSs
of
in real life.
it. No,
No.
none of those.
Just goes to show you.
Tormented Owl says buying sea of Solitude day one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Day
it's
one. It was
early
a very
2019.
early
Yeah, yeah.
2019. Very, very positive reception to that game.
Yeah.
It's a nice range between that and Anthem and Battlefield.
Yeah. And then
with
Command and Conquer.
sports just slammed it in the middle.
NBA was
Oh,
right
yeah.
after.
So I was gonna go with Command and Conquer. I know that like NBA was right after. And
My favorite showing of the press conference.
Popped Crawdaddy says, I can't believe Command and Conquer finally coming back as a worthless, stupid mobile game. 10 damn years they've let it lie dormant, and now we get a repeat of Dungeon Keeper Mobile. The RTS genre needs a shot in the arm. Can EA go a single year without disappointing
Well, hold on.
fans?
I'm going to
Like, this
disagree.
is a-
No,
this
hold
is
on.
quite
I'm going to
That's
disagree
quite
with
heavy.
that. RTS has had multiple shots in the
Yeah.
arm. You're just not paying attention. Look back at They Are Billions. Look at Total War Warhammer. Look at any number of RTS games in the last few years. Deserts of Karak. That's untrue. But yeah, I don't know why they devoted so much time to this
So,
game
yeah,
at the conference.
Yeah.
And Command & Conquer, just let it be. Red Alert 2 is one of my favorite games. General Zero Hour is a great game. It has its how many games are there now? 18, I think.
Yeah.
Just let them be.
I can't believe how long they spent on
think
this.
I think it's worth saying, like, let's not be unfair to the game. Like, the showing of it was annoying. The way they presented it, it's like doesn't need to be presented in a shoutcasting way.
Yeah.
The game itself, none of us have played it. Who can say whether it could be good? Like, who knows? I think the thing that people are walking away with, they're more annoyed that firstly it's a mobile game, but who knows? Give it a chance. It could be good. I don't expect it to be amazing, but give it a chance. The reason, that people are annoyed is they spent so much time on it.
Yeah.
And at like after 5-10 minutes on this mobile game, it felt like just killing time.
Just have
Yeah,
a short.
you think
the thing is as well though, like I don't think you can completely turn away people's criticisms about it.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
like after 10 years, there was another Command and Conquer game that they were going to do a few years ago. They ended up canning. Like I remember playing a demo of that on PC at Gamescom one year. So like obviously people are going to be annoyed, and I think EA doesn't also have the best reputation with stuff like this, because you remember what happened to Dungeon Keeper. Like
Dungeon Keeper was a catastrophe.
EA needs to show people that what they're gonna do a good faith effort with Command and Conquer, and I feel like this presentation was very misjudged in who they were trying to show it to. So I don't think like you can completely
Write off.
write off people's complaints, but sometimes like obviously you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. Like,
It's such a huge property, Command & Conquer, that I grew up with. I have no problem with them almost leaving it behind, but they have the brand recognition, but I don't even know if this generation of like people playing games really Command & Conquer is ever on their mind that much. Like we're thinking like people that grew up on like Command & Conquer, Red Alert 3, like console kind of entries like that, but I don't know. I mean, when I say like they devoted too much time to it, that's assuming that they would have other stuff to show, which I think if they did, they would have. Why did they shoutcast this? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the risk of sounding quite selfish, like, why it seems like a weird decision to show this off and spend as much time at a show where they know hardcore gamers are watching.
Yeah.
Like, how many mobile
Yeah, we
game
were talking about
players are watching this?
Right.
So by showing it off, all you stand to do is upset the people, the hardcore out there who remember Command and Conquer and now are watching you turn it into a mobile game.
Yeah.
When all you could have done was just said, we have this, Command and Conquer game coming to mobile. Here it is for a hot 2 minutes, and then just pay Apple the money to feature it on the App Store, and you've done your job. Like, this seems like a very much like padding out moment for EA's press conference, which was unfortunate.
do we want to talk about, speaking of briefly mentioning games and then kind of leaving them behind, Respawn Star Wars game has a name.
Boy, Vinny Zamzam got my blood flowing by...
You literally ran in the room when we told you he was back.
Yeah, I was standing out there. We have a paper. All the editors are watching, and I
both-
saw him, and I sprinted in here, and it was just like,
The Resident
you got a game name.
the Titanfall enthusiasts of the staff are in here right now, and so it seems kind of funny. Like Vince's demeanor, he was kind of acknowledging that it was a weird format almost,
Yeah.
or he was high. I don't think he was high, but he
Killed
was.
it.
So Jedi Fallen Order is the Star Wars game they're working on. That's pretty much all we know.
Sick.
It's set during the dark times between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Yep.
Presumably, also before Rogue One. That's pretty much it.
Coming
Yeah.
out
Holiday 2019.
Holiday 2019.
Yeah, as of now.
That is it. Yeah, that's
You get
all
to
I
play
was
as a
gonna
Jedi,
say.
confirmed.
You can play as a Jedi. You can use a
hold
lightsaber.
So one of the tweets that sadly I've lost now, but someone was saying, were you surprised at the lack of Star Wars given... They touched on Battlefront, they touched on this game.
Oh, I like to talk about Battlefront too. Yeah,
We'll talk about it. It was like, considering how big the deal is, the deal's running out in a couple of years.
The Motive game, they didn't even mention it.
Yeah.
Didn't even mention Motive, or the open world one, the
Or the open
job
world.
listing one leaked. Were we surprised that there wasn't more Star Wars chat? Or do you think even EA themselves are considering, guys, Star Wars fatigue, we can't keep doing this every year?
I don't see EA as acknowledging that we have fatigue, but I mean, it seems like they're trying to capitalize on the solo hype if it exists with Battlefront 2, which we could talk about. Which actually, I was kind of excited by what I saw there. I did want more though.
I wonder if you could say that they were comparing themselves to like last E3, where it was all about Battlefront, right?
Sure.
Maybe they were trying to just separate themselves a little more. But this
at a certain point,
mode, by the way, is already came out. The Ewok one, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, say what you will about Battlefront, they're still working with it. This all looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
The squad stuff sounds really interesting. Like that was probably the most exciting to hear for me, at least. Sounds like they're doubling down on areas that need to have attention. I don't know. Like,
the Clone Wars are coming.
Yeah,
Clone Wars. Yes, that was a leak. That was a
Arguably-
leak a while ago.
Yeah.
Geonosis was like in some PC files, so that
It was
that was
in
cool.
one of
General
the update
Grievous?
files. Yeah.
Oh,
Obi-Wan
Grievous
Kenobi.
people. Oh, you know, there are people who love this game, right?
Yep.
What's that?
Grievous has been.
What's that
they've been
kid?
begging for
Pod
it.
racer? Forget his name.
Oh God.
Anakin's coming.
He
Dooku's
Some
gonna be in
guy
it.
he likes sand.
He
or
hates
something.
sand. Yes, of course. And
Dooku.
Not
yeah.
here. It's
Anakin.
rough and coarse.
And it gets everywhere.
So actually, that does excite me. They're bringing squads to Battlefront 2. Right away, they were pretty honest that they messed up. He said, like, we know we clearly messed up.
Clearly, yeah.
I don't know if that's going to bring... I've never played Battlefront 2 at all. Not a single second of it. Preview events, anything.
You know, like as of right now, like I played again a little bit of that Ewok mode. It's how the game should have launched.
Yeah.
Like it's all there. The progression is strong enough. They may do a little too late, arguably, but yeah, I don't know. That was at least it's at least nice to see them working with that game because people are still really into it, and I can guarantee a bunch of fans of Star Wars Battlefront just lost their shit over that Grievous.
Then there's a new
like-
mode.
Lightsabers.
Then they briefly mentioned a new mode that sounds like a Grand Operations equivalent. You're progressively taking or destroying new Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a
They said
dogfight
that-
Oh,
mode.
so it was
Still coming.
they're
you
again
did say
like
it, sorry.
they're putting attention into the Starfighter Assault, which I would argue is like the best part of Battlefront because they got Criterion to do the flight controls, so it feels great. The flying is top notch. So I mean, I'll definitely check that out. It's free. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had sports.
Oh yeah, there was a bit where it was 2 devs, 1 cup.
God,
it was the UEFA Cup. What? The UEFA Cup was on the stage,
God's
and they did like a
sake.
slow zoom onto it. It was real weird.
It was.
Well, Lena used to be the Battlefront lady, so she's clearly moved over to the FIFA team. What?
You've
had to make
been
some bringing
waiting
up
for that
FIFA.
the whole time.
Yeah,
Lauren.
I was like, no, but you know, FIFA, Madden, NFL.
Yeah.
NFL?
Seems like they're doubling down on
NBA.
story and NBA too.
Yeah, NBA.
Yeah.
People like that,
I
right?
clearly don't know my sports
people
acronyms
did.
very well.
Yeah.
People really liked. Shout out to our hometown Warriors getting the finals last night.
What was the name of that kid?
I don't know.
That
Oh.
was another
Young sick or something like
Young
that.
Kiv,
It was
Young
Young Kiv
Kiv.
or something like that.
Out here
yeah.
chasing money.
Yeah,
Out here
he's out there
chasing
chasing money.
money.
Like that's another thing that come on EA, please stop trying to tell the story of like of sports tournament players. No, firstly they're boring. Secondly, no one cares.
Wait,
It's
wait,
not
wait.
Alex
Oh, the
Jones.
real life people.
No, I'm talking about the real life. Like I'm a
Gotcha.
competitive FIFA
I was gonna say
player.
people like the story modes in those
Oh
games.
no, those story modes are fine.
you-
That's
I
fine.
can-
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
confused.
dude who missed his graduation to play in a
He
tournament.
broke his arm and
He
played
broke his
Madden.
arm.
My man.
Playing Madden.
He broke
Yeah.
his arm.
No,
in
playing
He
high
broke
real
school.
his arm. He was like, I broke my arm, so I picked up Madden.
Oh,
That's
shit.
like,
Through
The
diversity.
cloud streaming stuff.
yes, that is
Let's
a
talk about
huge
that.
thing. Yeah, so like that is going to be a theme for a lot of people. I think this E3, the services side of it, Microsoft's definitely going to go huge.
Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
Cloud saves. Cloud destruction.
Sony's going to attempt it, and we were talking about this earlier. It's like they're bolstering their online kind of like game serving services, so that that everyone's trying to take a shot at Steam now.
And now's
arguably
arguably the time of that press, right?
They're doing cloud service gaming. So, and the interesting thing about it was they were talking about old games coming to a bunch of devices, and they talked about extending experiences as well as creating new experiences. It makes it sound like they've got like new, entirely new games coming out that will only be delivered through cloud services, as well as taking stuff like FIFA and maybe even Anthem and exploring how they can be played on any device anywhere through cloud services.
Yeah, they talked a lot about Origin. Nothing about Dead
So
Space.
yeah, it's basically like nothing about Dead Space. It's okay.
Sorry, Lucy.
But then it is like it's basically like Xbox Game Pass. Like everything is coming now, which is great. But also other developers like Warner Brothers is on there right now, right? So
Yeah,
it
so
could
they-
be interested to see how much of that market they're going to try and monopolize.
It's crazy how when Microsoft's original vision for Xbox One came out, it was all this stuff, but
and now other
everyone
people are
went.
kind of nicking it.
And now
slowly
everyone
brought it
is
back
like
in.
everyone is understanding that that's what they were going for and very slowly moving towards it.
For God's sake, people just
It's a
keep
long
using
con.
the hashtag to tweet 2 devs 1 cup.
Fuck you, Tamora. Microsoft on their long con, bringing back all the
On the
stuff that
long
made him, man, fill in his long cons.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we missed? Oh, Unravel 2 we touched on. It's
Yeah,
co-op.
that's
It's
out.
available to play now. Go check it out. I'm sure Pete loves these game releases. He's our reviews editor during the show.
I'm really disappointed in the way that they did the it's available now, because I feel like you could have had the lovely dev who did the original Unravel reveal. Like, he was still so nervous and still so happy to be there, and he could have ended it with like a really heartfelt like, and it's available now. But then they just let one of the bloody execs do it.
It needed like just vents of fire.
Yeah.
It's available now.
I wanted
fireworks. Unravel 2.
I wanted to see him come out after having released one game and being like an absolute baller. Like, he's got chains on, he's got massive like sunglasses, he's got like a hat
Success
on and a
changed you.
cane, and he's like,
Just blowing
I'm
rails.
back. It's me, the Unravel guy, and he's just like super confident. Someone Photoshop that.
When my journey's in.
Yeah. Let's go.
Oh my god.
He's been chasing money. Oh my god.
And Joseph Fares, who did A Way Out, is getting a new studio.
Yeah.
He's getting an extra. He's getting more space. So
Another studio in addition to Lamplight. Lamplight.
Something like
You
that.
interviewed him.
It's
right?
called F the
Should know
Oscars
it.
Studios.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Patrick Soderlund was like, I think we all remember last time Yosef was on stage. Fuck the Oscar. Anyway, that's
Just
chained
Oscar.
up.
His brother's in Westworld
He's
now.
on
so-
backstage.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah,
is
you were
a-
saying that he's one of the
he's
technicians?
Yeah, he's
He
hanging out
plays
in Westworld.
Costa.
Yeah.
Watch our
Let's not
Westworld
spoil
breakdowns.
Westworld right now. I'm just kidding.
Games for Universe.
Any other questions we should get to, or any other thoughts? I'll go around and see what your favorite
Things
thing
we
was.
missed,
So-
things
Things
that
we
weren't
missed.
there.
Anything?
Oh, so here we go. Embry Stard asks, do you think Dead Space can be rebooted at this stage by a new studio, or is it gone forever?
Like a Dead Space 4 or a reboot? It could be. I loved what Visceral did. I would be very hesitant about it. I would love it just to give it another chance.
Sure.
I would. It's so weird. I would love a new game, but I love the Visceral game so much. I would rather get remasters.
It would be tricky for a new studio to do it. But in a world where Resident Evil came back as good
In
as
a
it did,
world.
in a world where Capcom made a good Resident Evil.
Yeah, and I'm surprised more people haven't been. I mean, people have been between Silent Hills going away. It was such a depressing time for horror. Then Resident Evil 7 comes out and knocks it out of the park.
It is incredible. Like I, that's kind of like giving me faith that anyone can do everything
Yeah.
if they put
Like on a
their mind
AAA
to-
level too.
I mean, not even just horror, but I feel like if a game like Rage can get a sequel in this
Yeah.
day and age, like
Yeah.
the brand recognition there doesn't have to
Yeah.
be as huge as it was. Like, and you pick a series like Dead Space. Come on.
Sorry guys, we're busy turning Command and Conquer into a mobile game.
Yeah.
No time for Dead Space right now.
Less Star Wars than I thought.
She looks sick.
A little more Anthem, or maybe just about as much Anthem as I thought. More mobile games than I thought.
I am surprised that The Sims didn't show
Oh.
because they have obviously the Seasons expansion pack. And if you saw that thing on Reddit the other
That's an
day,
incredible moment.
so there was a great Ask Reddit thread the other day, and it was like, what is the ongoing drama in your hobby that other people might not know about? And the top comment was, there's a big thing happening with The Sims right now because they're releasing this Seasons expansion pack. People are worried that this snow is not deep enough.
So they did.
And there is genuinely a change.org petition where the Sims fans are really worried about the snow.
They need Frostbite. They did show Sims during their pre-show when
Oh,
we were.
did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
Alright.
Jean-Luc just told me.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I don't know
I
what
was
they
gonna say,
showed though. We were.
because Seasons is out like at the end
It's
of
just
the month.
someone stepping in the snow and just going completely through it. Shut up now.
Just
No.
a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
It's like Sims. Seasons.
But yeah, nothing from The Sims, nothing from like PopCap.
No, ununfortunately.
Yeah.
Like
no
Garden
Garden
Warfare
Warfare.
is a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
nothing Burnout related, nothing
Need for
Speed
Speeds.
related.
No Skate 4?
No Skate
No
4.
Skate 4.
No SX Tricky. Criterion, I guess, are still just working on Star Wars.
Okay.
There was some skiing teased in Battle
Yeah.
Field in the end. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
surprised. I thought they would go more into Battlefield, but I guess they're saving it for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
That would
sense.
have to be it.
I
So that's
reckon that'll be
tomorrow.
it. Yeah. Marsh 940 says, "Did EA meet your expectations or left you disappointed with something that you thought would be there but wasn't?" Personally, Anthem was there, so
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
expectations were my expectations were Anthem, and I'm still excited for that game. I
Yeah.
enjoyed what I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm just very, very excited about that. And also, Sea of Solitude was a surprise that I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
expect coming,
Yeah.
and it was a very pleasant one. So I actually despite the pitfalls, the thing about EA's conferences is their games cover such a wide variety of
Genres.
audiences
Yeah.
and genres. It's very difficult to tonally get one press conference that can hit all those notes successfully and make it cohesive. And I think that is something that they have struggled with for years, and I think it's something they're still struggling with. But for the things that were there for me,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed
I
it.
think they did pretty well. Aside from the Command and Conquer thing, not to just jump on it and beat a dead horse, but I don't see the point of that.
If they punched in and out of that thing, no one would have really said much.
Yeah.
I
I mean-
it was just the length of it.
It should have been one of
It
those
was
quick
the-
announcements and then move on to what was next. FIFA.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Lucy says. We got Anthem, we got Sea of Solitude, which is great. They could have dialed down the how long you spend talking about FIFA in and other sports games outside of the game itself.
Yeah.
We don't need context of a person rising, changing their lives by playing competitive sports.
Yeah.
games.
It's
That's fine.
inspiring if you're into that stuff, but I don't
Yeah.
think this is the show to show it. But overall, I think they did pretty well. We are going to be playing Battlefield and Anthem hands-on down at E3, if not already. I know Aaron's already down there.
I was like,
Tony's
we're
down there
not. We're
right
gonna
now
be
playing.
here.
So we will be doing more chats throughout the week. Of course, we have 2 more conferences tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, Microsoft kicks off at 1 o'clock?
I think it's around 1 o'clock.
So we'll be doing
It's
a
1 p.m.,
pre-show
yeah.
right around noon, 12:30 again. So obviously come back for that, and then tomorrow night. Tomorrow evening will be Bethesda Pacific time, and we'll be covering all of those. We'll also have a bunch of videos from throughout the year rolling about those games, and we'll have demos going up throughout the week and news. Our news team is outside, not outside, but in the room outside of here right now. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, and thank you so much for all the questions. That was awesome.
Yeah,
We're going to be doing
thank
that
you.
throughout all the conferences.
Keep using that
before we go
hashtag.
down. Yes, then we got our stage show later this week. E3 is officially underway. It's going well so far. I hope it continues to go well. There's a few hitches in EA's stream itself.
It was
Nothing
Oh,
bad.
interesting. Yeah, it was good.
Yarny, it looked like they were using, or Unravel looked like they were doing some God mode stuff. I don't know what they were doing.
I just came to make mammoth tanks.
Yeah, Is that what someone said.
Yeah.
I wish that respawn. I wish that we could
Yeah.
see more what they were doing.
Vinny Zam,
Yeah.
what's he got up his sleeve? I
What's he
wanna
got
know.
under his hat?
What's he got under his hat? He
What's he
takes it off
doing?
and it's just
What's he doing?
a
he
faux
working
hawk. All right. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for joining us again. We will be back tomorrow with Microsoft and Bethesda, which I'm pretty excited for. And in the meantime, keep sending questions in and get up to date on all our news. And we really appreciate you stopping by. We will see you throughout the week.
Goodbye.